you think, and I don't mean to like impose on, suggest something about Rosenfeld, but would he in any capacity hired to do this for any reason?
I don't know intent, but I know that it's really important for us, for all the reasons that people have been talking about, that we be able to write our own histories, that the activists of the 60s and 70s write their memoirs, that students go and get oral histories, that people get trained to do rigorous research so that we can tell histories that have that fit in the long fetch of history, right? That have a context to them, that don't just suddenly emerge at one point, but are connected to prior ideas and struggles, and that contextualize controversial issues like violence in their proper context, right? The Panthers were trying to stop the greater violence of the police and the government against them, violence which includes things like poverty, right? And this framing is so important, and this good early 60s, bad late 60s framing in which Rosenfeld writes within is very dangerous. We need to reclaim our own histories.
So
okay.
My last question is just, do you think the implications of Richard providing guns, cleaning them, providing military strategy, is that something that's beyond what a normal agent provocateur would be? I mean, can you, like, if someone were to say, oh, that's what makes him guilty, why would you say it?
An agent provocateur is somebody who goes into an organization, tries to get them activists to engage in high-risk and illegal activities. This happened in the Puerto Rican movement a dozen years ago in Chicago, where somebody had infiltrated the organization, was not just reporting to the FBI, but actually trying to stir things up. Actually married into one of the most prominent Puerto Rican families. Two of the sisters in this family were in prison out here in Dublin, women's prison, as part of the Puerto Rican independence movement struggles, and married one of the sisters in this family, and then encouraged people to do things like armed demonstrations and things, and someone ended up in prison because of these kinds of things. Rosenfeld suggested that Aoki was an agent provocateur, but then backpedaled on that. When I made the statement, what if Aoki was, I said this in that San Francisco Chronicle op-ed, if Aoki was an informer, in what ways did he disrupt the movements? And Rosenfeld said that he never said that Aoki disrupted the movements and that Diane Fujino is putting words in his mouth. But Rosenfeld, in fact, in his book, asked the question, did Richard Aoki help the Panthers in their social justice struggles, or did he set them up? And the way that he frames things, the man who armed the Panthers was an informer, it's easy for people to infer that Richard might have been a provocateur. But Rosenfeld is now saying that he's never said that and that there's zero evidence for that. And there's someone in the back, yeah.
I just wanted to take note and appreciate that you also linked it to the Asian minority myth, and how when we think of the 1960s, we really don't think of Asians as being involved except for Aoki, and how you just said earlier how the narrative that the new book has put out there is that he could have been, well, he's part of the Asian minority myth, and I really wanted to express my appreciation that you even brought that up, the myth up, and linked it to the book, because that's another possible narrative that's out there now.
Yeah, and this is important. The model minority myth is the logic goes like this, right? Asian Americans, yes, they face some, disadvantages and some discrimination. Yeah, the concentration camps happened, but through hard work, the methods to success are important. Hard work, putting your nose to the grindstone, not engaging in political activism like those black folk are doing, that this is how you rise up in society. And this idea existed for a few decades, but it really became prominent in the post-war period. And it became most prominent in 1966 in two respected, widely read news magazines, the New York Times Magazine and the U.S. World and News Report, which said that Japanese Americans and Chinese Americans were success stories. What else happened in 1966? Stokely Carmichael popularizes the slogan Black Power, and the Black Panther Party is formed in Oakland, right, in October. And so I feel like what is happening is that Asian Americans are being put up as an example of how to be a model citizen through apolitical means as a way to discredit activism. And I think that there's a reason why, well, there are I think many reasons why we know hardly anything about Asian American activism. It's almost as if Asian Americans were never activists, we're always these model citizens, and it's not true. And, you know, I mean, some people are saying this, you know, this is an effort to discredit Aoki as well as radical activism, as well as Asian American radicalism. Sorry, someone else had their hand who hasn't spoken yet. Yes?
I have two questions. First, is there any way to authenticate whether or not the documents that were released by the FBI are actual valid documents? Because since they clearly redacted them, they could have manipulated them in other ways. And then my second question is there any evidence that would lead to the interpretation that maybe what had happened after Aoki was approached by the FBI is that he then told the Panthers what the FBI was asking him about, and he was basically using his position to leak information from the FBI to the Panthers rather than the other way around. In fact, it was like a double agent.
Yeah. Some have been speculating the latter. Fred Ho sent out an email that's been circulating, you know, saying the exact same thing. And I think that what's important is that, you know, I've been hearing, while the FBI documents are there, Agent Threadgill said he recruited Aoki, therefore it's true, right? But I think we need to investigate more, as in ways you're suggesting. Most of the documents in the 200 plus pages don't contain a name, right? And the only thing at the bottom is the FBI, Rosenfeld said that the FBI wrote Aoki / and a page number. And so we're to assume definitively and with trust and faith that these were in fact about Aoki, and we don't know. And this is something that I'm trying to figure out, kind of how to do further research. What are the best strategies? Like, I've thought of many things. What do we need to do? I need more time. This happened Friday, Saturday, early Saturday morning. I was on an airplane coming up here, and you know, it's been a whirlwind. So I really need more time to think. But yeah, there are other interpretations that need to be vetted as well. Thank you.